All right. So we've created one objective as well as a means to fulfill it. And everything else should be working there. So what I want to happen is about halfway through, so 12 civilians evacuated, I want my moral dilemma to come up where you have to either secure supplies or secure more civilians to help you advance further. So the way that we're going to go ahead and do this is we're going to go ahead and create a new trigger before. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this one really quick. Moral dilemma start. So we've set up a variable called evacuate. And when it is greater than or equal to 12 evacuated civilians, what I want to happen is I want the different characters to bicker a little bit. So I'm going to have this be Samuel, and I'm just going to put in some placeholder text lines here. I'm going to flesh out the story for the final release. You won't have to worry about that. I'm also going to be doing AI lines and AI portraits as well for these characters here. So we need to protect or we have stranded civilians to our northwest. We need to save them. I'm going to make this last 10 seconds. And I'm going to do a camera move here. And this is all placeholder. And then I'm going to add a countering objective. This is going to be the mayor. We need to secure the supplies for our survival. So I'm going to go ahead and move this here. And then in the middle of this, I'm going to go ahead and unit switch. Oh, I thought there was an area. Oh, unit owner switch. Where's unit owner? Unit owner switch. Alright, so all units in this area, your new owner is player green. Alright. So once the evacuation is about halfway done, we're going to be met with our moral dilemma. We're going to make sure that there's a timer so they can't just ignore it and have no consequences. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're then going to enable the two secondary objectives, which is to secure the supply cache or rescue stranded civilians. So now that we have our moral dilemma set up, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to make this a little enticing. I'm going to have some bugs in range and attacking when the objective starts. So now that we have our objectives enabled, I'm going to go ahead and get started on how to complete these. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start with the supply cache. So I'm going to call this supply cache objective win, and the condition is when the objective is enabled for secure supply cache, we're going to do some trickery. We're going to go ahead and select each of these and make them gray. Or I'm going to make this a little easier on myself. So belonging to green player, we're going to have the supply cache and the ammunition cache change to gray faction within this radius. So hopefully that should work out there. So, and then we're going to go ahead and timeline. I'm actually going to go ahead and set up a fail here. Civilian fail. So I'm going to leave that sitting there just as a placeholder. And then we're going to set up some other conditions. So unit ownership. When these are owned by the player, when these are all owned by the player, we're going to go ahead and fail the objective for rescue stranded civilians. And when rescue stranded civilians is failed, we're going to go ahead and add in a placeholder line. You monster! We're going to have that placeholder there. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure that the objective for secure the supply cache is completed. Cool. So now we're going to set up the inverse. So we're going to go ahead. This one's going to be a little bit longer of a complete. We're going to do civilian objective win. And we're going to make sure that when units are in this area belonging to the blue team, we're going to give ownership to all these units to the blue team. And then we're going to go ahead and I'll add in some markers and flares to identify where they need to go. But then what we're going to have is we're going to have another units near target, near the evacuation zone, that if they are colonists, then we're going to go ahead and switch these civilians, miners. Oh, I set these up as miners. Hold on. I'm going to set these up as colonists instead. That way the objective actually works. All right. So now they're colonists. So those colonists are going to make their way down here. Actually, I probably could have made them miners if I just actually did a search. So miners belonging to blue team. I'm going to go ahead and switch these guys all back to miners. That did not look like it actually worked. Oh, yeah, that worked. There we go. So once the miners are in this area belonging to the blue team, we're going to go ahead and unit owner switch in the entire map. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to start from about the center, the entire map. I'm going to set miners to belong to the green player. And then I'm gonna name these. Actually, they're already on the map, so don't need to worry about blackboard or anything. I'm gonna go ahead and evacuate transport each of them. And hopefully they should all be alive. Alright, and you get 2 free rifle squads out of it, should they live. Alright, so once they are evacuated, we're going to go ahead and make sure that they add 3. You know what? If I switch them back to... Yeah, because I want them to count for the main objective. So I'm going to switch them back to colonists. That way they count for the main objective. So that way the bonuses actually applied properly to the main objective. All right. Cool. All right. So now we have our way of evacuating units set up for this objective. And then we're going to go ahead and have Samuel say, "You're a hero to these people. They won't soon forget." And then we're going to have the other party, the mayor, be a little begrudged. And then we're going to have a camera move. Focus on this location. And we're going to have a couple tankers pop up. So we're going to spawn some tankers. So I don't want too many to make it difficult over here. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a tanker. We've got 3 tankers in there. And then I'm going to have them spaced out a bit. I'm going to have these units unalive after a bit. I'm definitely going to have the supplies explode. I want the supply cache to explode, as well as the ammunition cache to explode. And we're going to make sure that the tankers are securely spawned before we go ahead and kill everything in the area. So I'm going to have dramatic effect happen, and then we're going to go ahead and remove everything in this area, including the tankers. I don't want them to hinder the evacuation or force the player to go out and tackle an objective that they decided to not do. So one or the other will happen. Let's see, how do I make this a little bit more appealing? So first off, we need those objectives to complete. So we want secure supply cache to fail, and we want rescue stranded civilians to succeed. I'm actually going to do this a little differently. I'm going to go ahead and enable the trigger. Now, the reason why I'm doing that, and I do need to split this up. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down here, this down here. I'm going to move this whole area down here. This whole section to its own trigger, because now I have an awesome idea on how to make these work a little better. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger enable that. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up a timer. They only have a limited amount of time. The players only have a limited amount of time to rescue, to do one or the other. So I'm going to give them about 8 minutes. I might change this a little later, but we're going to go ahead and make it a bit of a rush that they have to do one or the other. 8 minutes gives plenty of time, I believe, for a force to make their way up and collect the civilians and take them back. So we'll start with 8 minutes, and I'll make any adjustments to the final scenario if necessary. So I'm going to call this timer make a decision. No. I'm going to call it complete secondary objective. So now that I have this timer going, I'm going to set fail both. And then I'm going to go ahead and enable this trigger here. That is the wrong one. I want trigger enable. fail both. And if the timer for dilemma is less than 1 second, it's going to disable both of the objectives, both of the win conditions. And a unique briefing is going to appear from the military advisor. And I'll work out any spelling later. Actually, I spelled that right. All right. And then we're going to fail both of those objectives. Cool. So we've just set up a pathing or a multi-path dilemma objective where we can choose one or the other. All right. So we've got quite the scenario going here for us. So in order to keep things a little organized, I'm going to go ahead and group these two main kind of groups into their own folder. So I'm going to go ahead and move these two folders into here to keep things organized. And I'm going to go ahead and call this Dilemma Triggers. I'm going to go ahead and move all of them in here. Oh, I guess I need to also disable the timer. So I'm going to go ahead and disable the trigger for fail both. I'm going to do that in both of the win objectives as soon as they are won, which looks like they're set up that way. So as soon as they're won, the fail condition is going to end. But I also want to get rid of the timer. So I'm going to call this Dilemma as well, but I'm going to leave display as main timer ticked off. That way, once all this is done, the timer is going to go away. The dilemma is done. There we go. And then I also need to do that down here as well. I need to remove the timer. That way it just doesn't stay up forever. All right, so we've got a decent chunk of the mission taken care of. We've got continuous waves of civilians coming to be evacuated. We've got a moral dilemma set up. Now, what I'm going to set up now is I'm going to set up some periodic bug attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up here. Well, really quick, I'm going to set up a side objective, which is to eliminate the bug holes. So I'm going to go ahead and do a unit count of hives do a tunnel. I'm going to make sure that that's the right thing. Yep. So, if red team alive bug holes equals 0, we're going to export that to clear bug holes. There we go. So, if bug holes are alive, they're going to stay up, and we should be good there. It's a really simple thing we have going here. And one thing that we have to note is we have to make sure to enable each of these. So I'm going to make sure that now we made sure to do that here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the objective. So once we get the first wave of evacuated people, we're going to go ahead, make sure that is the right variable. It was not. Oh, I had the wrong variable on both of these. There we go. Now we have the right variable. So now what we're going to do is after we've evacuated an initial wave of civilians, we're going to go ahead and create an objective from the military advisor. We need to, the pressure is on, Lieutenant. Let's see here. Let's do okay, so we'll go ahead and get that going. And then we're going to go ahead and enable the objective. Clear bug holes. And then we're going to enable the trigger, eliminate bug holes. So there we go. So let's go ahead and make a folder just to keep things organized called bug holes. There we go. So now that we've got that taken care of, we're going to go ahead and do some bug attack waves that periodically assault the area. So we're going to go ahead and set up some offensive waves that are going to batter our defenses, hopefully. And their objective is going to be to take out our satellite station radio post. All right. So to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and start with a folder to make sure things stay organized. So we're going to go ahead and do bug offensive. And we're going to go ahead and make this tied to our variable as well for evacuated civilians. Oh, that's a timer, not a variable. Variable check. When this equals 8, we want to have our bug assault to start. So I've gone ahead and set up some units that we're going to redeploy for invasion waves. So this one, we're going to move here. This one, we're going to move here. And this one, we're going to move here. Cool. So we've got our bug invasions kind of set up and ready. Let's call it seismographs are off the scale. Bug attack incoming. And then we're going to go ahead and set up a bug offensive. Let's see. Offensive create. So we're going to go ahead and select our spawners, which is going to be this, this, and this. We're going to set the supply to, we'll start with a 25 and we'll mark it on the mini map. And we're going to set, we're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we are going to set the location to here. We're going to set the location to the radio post, so that way the bugs attempt to capture it. So that should be good. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to periodically have that happen. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to clone this. We're going to have roughly 3 main assaults. The first 2 are going to be fairly mild, but the last one, and they're going to happen every 8 civilians we rescue. The last one's going to be an infinite wave that you just hold out as long as you can. But that will be after you have rescued a number of civilians. You've met the minimum evacuation order. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to have the last wave, and this one is going to be a repeating offensive. So I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new trigger and move these down here. I actually don't need to redeploy these anymore since they're already there. So this one, yeah, I don't need these ones here. I just need the offensive now. All right. So we've got this objective here that's going to start, and then the a very fun objective called survive will happen. Now, I'm imagining that this is going to be a holdout. This might change in future versions of the mission, but this is going to be a holdout. The drop ships are going to no longer be available, so we're actually going to go ahead and change the number of drop ships to equal 0. And then we're going to go ahead and enable the objective infinite bugs. And this is going to be infinite waves of bugs. I'm going to call this the infinite. Now, I don't want to do a ton of damage necessarily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that when each wave is less than 10 supply, another attack wave is going to happen. So eventually they should stack and stack and stack. So that should be our mission. Now, I'm not going to go through the process of adding audio files this time around. I've got awesome tutorials on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to go over how to add AI portraits or anything like that. I've got all that on my YouTube channel. But we have created a scenario here with the means to, and I'm going to do some tweaking, some Q&A that's going to be all off screen. But for the most part, we should be done here. So if there are changes to these triggers and the way the mission flows, it's going to be as a result of Q&A. There might be some bugs scattered around, but this is our mission now. And I hope you all enjoy it. It's going to be available on the workshop once it's all approved by Slytherin, as well as this video here approved by Slytherin and Aristocrats. And yeah, happy 1-year anniversary of Starship Troopers Terran Command, and I hope you enjoy this mission. It should be available on the workshop soon. Thank you all, and have a great day.